This is LP Giobbi.
Listen up, children.
You are listening to Femme House Radio.
I said listen up, children.
On Diplo's Revolution, Sirius XM.
A wonderful night is made as much by the dancers as the music. Guided as much by the spirit of joy in the room as by the hand which reaches for the next record. Each of us has a role in tonight's experience. We all play in the band.
This is LP Giobbi, and I founded Femme House, a 501c3 foundation and educational platform that teaches the technical areas of music making for women, non-binary, trans, and other marginalized gender identities. Every week, I will be interviewing and spotlighting women in music while bringing you the best dance tunes from around the world.
Our next guest on Femme House Radio is London-based producer and DJ AmyElle. I recently had the honor of playing with her last weekend in Barcelona for Elro's first show back in Spain. And for those that don't know, it's one of the wildest parties of all time, where she absolutely smashed it, which is no surprise considering her fast rise in the dance scene. She is the first female DJ to have an official Spotify DJ mix, has been supported on BBC Radio 1 by all the dance presenters, was the cover of UK house music on Spotify, and has her own Kiss Fresh weekly radio show. Amy, welcome.
Yes. Oh my God, so nice. Thank you for having me.
You've done a lot in a short amount of time. So tell us your origin story. How did you become a DJ and producer?
Do you know what? It's a really weird one because DJing was never really on the radar. It was a very singer-songwriter, was classically trained, and then that led me to study music. And then basically just got into more kind of dance records because I never went to club nights. I never went to raves. So I didn't actually, I knew what house music was, obviously, but it wasn't really there for me. And then, started, getting into more dance records, and then had people produce for me. And this was the point where I was never achieving what I wanted when I was in sessions. So me and my mate, we were like, why are we doing this? Why are we going in sessions and never coming out with the sound that we want? So we're like, let's just produce. So we basically, I swapped my course from performing. So I studied vocals at uni, and a lot more, but vocals was my main instrument. And then swapped to production in my last year. And then, was producing dance records. And then it just got more house, and I was like, do you know what? I do need to go to some raves to actually see the scene. How am I supposed to produce this if I don't know the scene? Totally. So I remember, actually, this is funny. I remember buying tickets for a rave, and I couldn't get anyone to go with me. And I was like, I can't go by myself, right, to this first rave. So I sat there. The rave was happening. I sat by myself in the house. It sounds so sad, and didn't go to it. But anyway, since then, I've been to multiple raves with people, and good to say.
I love that.
Yeah. So I got into that, and then bought some decks. Actually, I forgot to say that. So I was producing the dance stuff, getting more housey, and I was like, well, how am I gonna perform this? Am I gonna sing with backing tracks? I'm gonna buy the Ableton Push 2. What am I gonna do? And then just was like, I'm just gonna see what this, DJing is all about. Order some decks off eBay. And then just basically taught myself, and here we are. Yeah.
I love that. I called my best friend and I said, hey, will you come with me to pick up these CDJs on Craigslist from some guy down the street? I just want you to come with me to make sure he doesn't murder me. And she was like, what is a CDJ? And I was like, honestly, I don't know, but I think you need them to DJ. And she was like, what? You're so tits first. You don't even know what it is. So I also just stumbled into it.
Yes. It's weird, but love it now. I'm obsessed. So here we are.
You're very, very good. So I'm glad that you found it. What has been your favorite gig back post-pandemic?
This is another weird one because all my gigs have been after lockdown. I really was doing, I had a little bar gig because I was singing, playing guitar in little bars, and I started the DJing. So when I went back home after uni, I was new to the DJing, and I was like, right, there's only one way to get out there. And I was like, I just hit up the guy that I was singing for in this bar, and I was like, are you interested in having a DJ? I can DJ now. And I was lucky enough to get that gig and just started. I had a residency there every week. So that I learned a lot from that. There was a lot of things I learned from that. And then, what was the question? What was my favorite gig?
Yeah, what's your favorite? Because you played, now that I know that you really have just started getting out there, the gigs that you have played are insane, that people who have been DJing for 10, 15 years have never played. So It's pretty remarkable.
But there was one thing, because I was still like trying to get into the scene and see what house music was all about, going to as many events, watching as many streams on YouTube, stuff like that. And this is really funny because I was doing that before lockdown, then lockdown happened and I was like, here we go again. But I booked a holiday. I was about to say ordered a holiday. I booked a holiday to Ibiza and dragged two of my friends because I was like, right, I need to go to Ibiza. Like, this is the place to be, apparently. And then my mate knew someone who was organizing like a club night in Ibiza. So I managed to get a little gig in Ibiza. Just before lockdown, and that, I have to say, that was probably like my best gig, because one, I was in Ibiza. It was like my first gig. I mean, I was awful. It was an awful gig, DJ performance for myself, but pushing yourself into the deep end. So
totally, that is remarkable. That, because to me it's like, I mean, I've still never played there. I went there for the first time in July when it was still shut down, but I was just like, I have to go see this island just because I just need to like smell it, like what is so magical and like insane about this. But I've still never played there, and like I like that's the peak, like that's the mecca of it. That's crazy that
it was
you're like,
really
let me
crazy.
go check this out, and then you get a gig. That seems to be your life. That's
it's a
amazing.
bit weird, but here we are. Yeah.
So I love the horn synth, but like it's like kind of like a horn, but I'm guessing it's like a synth, whatever. In Need You Now, that track.
Oh yeah. Yes.
I love that track. How did that come to be?
Oh, just, what? I was really inspired by Love Song by Duke Dumont. Like, it just has such a feel to it. So I really wanted to create something that had that kind of like more of a melodic vibe. I mean, my vibe is very more melodic. The stuff that I've released, like my tracks before Need You Now, are all quite ravey, and like they're me, obviously, because I've released them, but I really like, because obviously classically trained and I'm a songwriter, that's the route I want to go down. But obviously right now I'm just trying to like do stuff for DJs. But Need You Now, it's a bit more of me, and I think it's a nice little
okay break. Dude, you're like, are we the same person? Okay,
maybe.
So first of all, here we go. I love the new direction. I think it's so like classic. I mean, I even have a note like, did you spend time in Chicago? Like, it sounds like this beautiful classic house music, uplifting, cool vocal. Like, it's not overpowering. It's like, it's not like too like whatever. I'm loving the direction.
Yeah.
And
nice.
What happened to me when I first started making music is I felt like I had to make like the hardest banger I could make. Like that's just like going away from jazz. Like, I just sort of had to lean all the way into like, how do I get it to just be hard, like hard dance music. And then when the pandemic hit, it felt so weird to make that kind of song for like a non-existent dance floor. And so I had written Meet Again a long time ago, but pre-pandemic, and I'd thrown it away because I was like, this is too beautiful. Like, these chords are these like jazz chords with like ninths and stuff, and like they're not simple enough. And so in the pandemic, though, I was like, well, this maybe would be an appropriate time to work on something like this, like actually write a song. So I pulled it back out, and it has completely changed the direction of my music forever now, and I'm so grateful for that, and I see that happening to you, and I'm pumped.
Oh, amazing. I mean, isn't that so weird that like, when you just said like, oh, they're too good, these chords, like I need to make it more simple. Isn't that crazy that we're saying that? And I think my first release as well is totally not me, and I was like, how am I going to make something tech house? And I can't listen to it, honestly. Like, I listen to it and I'm like, oh, get this off.
I recently had somebody like request, I was playing a club show, and this like kid screaming that he wanted me to play this track, and I was like, no. So, and I'm like, dude, can we just wipe that off of Spotify or something?
Yeah, that's
like,
what I want to do.
But I think though that we had to like, maybe this is just me making myself feel better, but I feel like we had to swing the pendulum. Like at first when I was making dance music, like it was too it's like, it's body music, right? And so like all this information, like playing jazz and playing quick notes, it's like, I had to like really tone it down in order to be like, okay, what do I really want to say? And now bring back the other side of me that, kind of fits into the dance place better. It was a long journey, but I feel grateful to have the courage to put ninths in my chords now.
Yes, and that's the best. I think, that's the thing. I think you have to do that to then be like, why am I listening to this and not really loving it? It's not me. But if you do that as well, then you've done it. And then you can just be like, right, I'm going to get the ninth chords out.
Totally. Also, I always feel like once you release something, it's just not for you anymore. Like, it's just
Well,
it's not for you anymore. Like
You're on to the next
even,
one.
Well, and like people are going to take from it what they need to take from it. You know, like even releasing Meet Again, it was really just about like, I hope we can meet on a dance floor again.
I love that track, by the way.
Thank you.
Yes.
And people would DM me like, you know, this song, I listened to a song, my grandma just passed away, like help me like feel like one day I'll meet my grandma. You know, so people are going to take from it what they need to take, and I think that's so cool. So it's like, it's just not like, I hate my first handful of releases, but like they're just not for me, you know, and that's okay.
yes, and that's the thing.
Oh man. So have you spent time in the US? I mean, besides being born here, like have you come back here to play and tour and travel and stuff? Because honestly, your music sounds like it's coming out of Chicago.
Oh, wow. I really want to. That is next on the cards, honestly. But it's really weird because, I mean, obviously I did the first Femme House, right? Like a while back with you guys. And that was crazy because I really wasn't gigging before the pandemic. Like this whole AmyElle thing has been throughout the pandemic.
Wait, what?
Yeah, it's so new. So like even when you sent the questions over, like what's the best gig before? Like it's
Amy.
Well, I did a few gigs, but they're not big ones, you know. It's so new, and I tell people that and they're like, what the hell? So yeah, crazy.
Wait, how? This is a meteoric rise then, because like people ask me like, you came out of nowhere, and like in my head I'm like, bitch, I worked for 7 goddamn years, like this is not out of nowhere, but like it seems like you actually came out of nowhere.
Yeah, it's a bit crazy. I mean, like I try and say like I was doing music before that because I was, but the house music thing, it was just before the pandemic, and I was like, I'm going to do house music, I'm going to do this. And then, yeah, it was throughout the pandemic, and it was because I was going crazy on the socials when all the DJs kind of didn't want to do the social stuff.
Yeah.
So I think I was like one of the first ones to do the reels, and obviously they really took off. And then all the followers, I had like 3,000 followers, and it was getting to like, it'd be 1,000 a day, and then it went up to like something K, and it was crazy. But they were the wrong followers too, and a lot dropped off. And then the gigs, honestly, like my first gigs were with Alro, and like it's crazy.
Amy,
so now I'm just like, oh my
Amy,
god.
no. That
It's weird, isn't it?
those parties are like, I mean, they're some of the best parties in the world that like every DJ wants to play. Are you kidding me? So so was it okay, so I know you were like live streaming and stuff. Is that how people started discovering you, and like your videos that you're posting of your DJing, and like what was it?
I think it really was just the reels. They were like, I had a few reels that like went viral, so then people like hopped along to that. And then I was doing
what were you
live.
doing? Are you mixing in those?
It was just mixing. Sick. Yeah. And but they were all like very like bait tech house, like fishery, like, oh god, someone stop. But like I was getting into it, right? That's when I like all my releases have been throughout lockdown, and that's why like it seems really weird. Yeah. And so it was reels, and then I did a load of live streams, and they were just like funny live streams with the family, and people just like seemed to love it. And I'm always like up for like, I really want to help people get into the scene of like teaching people to DJ, or like what did I do. So I think people just kind of connected with that, and now it's just crazy. But everyone says like, oh, like where have you gigged? And I'm like, I've only like, I can count a number of hands my gigs.
Holy
on Twitch.
Shit. Dude, we should. Oh man, I want to get you out to the US for some of these Femme House shows. You would be so
God,
fun to play with. So what advice would you give your younger self?
That's a really hard question, because I think you learn from everything that you're doing. But I mentioned before that I was getting people to produce for me in uni, and I think it was because I mean, not having the confidence to do it myself, and then me and my mate saying like, look, why are we doing this? And I think if I had any advice, it would be like, just go for it. And that's what I try and say to like everyone getting into the industry. But if females come to me, or whoever comes to me, and they say like, oh, you know, I don't know where to start, like what do I do? I'm just like, just do it. Like everyone's blagging it. Like honestly, you're always learning, so just go into the deep end.
I love that. I ask most people that question, and that's my favorite answer yet. Not that I'm choosing favorites, but that's the reason that Femme House started, is because I was living in LA, and there were so many talented singers, songwriters, artists who were sort of like waiting for a producer to, you know, come and pluck them out of obscurity and put out their music, and then this weird power dynamic was happening, and we were finally like, why the fuck don't we just teach ourselves this? Like, that's what the other guys were doing, like YouTube tutorials, whatever. Like, we can do this. Mm-hmm. So I think that's fucking awesome.
I know, it's weird. But, you know, as well with the DJing, like a lot of females, I think, are just scared to do it, or they don't. I mean, there's so many more female DJs in the scene now. But, like, that's why I just love, like, throughout lockdown, I just really, like, hammered the socials. And the amount of feedback of females, like, going into the inbox and being like, you know what, you've inspired me to DJ. I just love it, you know, just...
Isn't that
great.
what it's all about? Like, that
Yeah.
More of my fans are women who are like, this is so cool to see you doing this. Like, I just think that's, to me, that's, like, the coolest thing at the end of the day.
100%.
Well, thank you for being a guest on Femme House Radio. I adore you. I want to get your ass out to the U.S. so that we can gig together.
100,000,000%. Has to happen.
This is LP Giobbi.
Listen up, children.
You are listening to Femme House Radio.
I said listen up, children.
On Diplo's Revolution, Sirius XM.
A wonderful night is made as much by the dancers as the music. Guided as much by the spirit of joy in the room as by the hand which reaches for the next record. Each of us has a role in tonight's experience. We all play in the band. I said, we all play in the band.
This is LP Giobbi, and I founded Femme House, a 501c3 foundation and educational platform that teaches the technical areas of music making for women, non-binary, trans, and other marginalized gender identities. Every week, I will be interviewing and spotlighting women in music while bringing you the best dance tunes from around the world.